Everybody wants to sell a lot of homes, or everybody has a volume goal in mind, but it's how do you want to get there? Don't do things just because everybody else is doing, right? Yes, you can build a great business with cold calling. You can build a great business with online leads, but if that doesn't fit your personality, then don't do it. Start with the things that are easy first, right? I think that you really have to, before you get the engine going, look at the journey of where you want to go first.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And today I have a very special guest that I've seen grow in so many ways. I think sometimes when you're building a business, you feel like you have to build it a certain way because other successful people have built it that way. But what if success meant something different to you? And what if you could actually build a business and life by design and truly enjoy it? My guest today has completely shifted her business from building a team with agents, community, to building a team with leverage her way. With over 6 years of experience, she's has sold over $140 million of volume through building community and a relationship-driven business. Welcome to the show, Kat Massetti.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did I say your last
Lovely.
name right? Or
Yes.
did I butcher it?
Good enough. Good enough. I've got Machete. I've got Maserati. It's all,
Wow, Maserati.
I'm like, I wish. No, just kidding.
Well, I
Thank
want
you
to
for the
dive,
lovely welcome.
of course, right? And I think this is a really big topic, I think, for a lot of people. And I think especially right now, as the market has shifted in so many ways, people are getting out of a bad Q4. Q1 has been really slow for them. So I want to dive into it. What has made you decide to go all in, number one, on building a relationship business? Because you've seen so many different models.
Yes, all through my years, 6 years in real estate now feels like forever, but 6 full-time years. I've been through a lot of transitions and I've seen a lot of different models. I started on a team and then I went solo in 2020, right before COVID. That was scary. And then I've been through a couple different brokerage changes as well, and really just trying to find my way as to where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. I think the biggest change for me was in 2022, I hit my best year ever. I had over $30 million in volume as a solo agent. And I felt that was the pinnacle, that I had hit a peak in my career. But to your point of living a life that I wanted, I realized I was absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
So although on the outside it looked like I had everything going for me and I had an amazing stellar year, I was super burnt out by the end of it. I had no systems really, and I was really grappling to find leverage in some way. So the journey for the past 2 years for me has been really looking at where I wanted to go, because I didn't have that either. When we first met, I had zero goals.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
mean, Raquel was like, "Where do you want to go?" And I'm like, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
I know what I'm capable of, but I was really just floating in the ether of what did success look like to me. And I saw what was successful for other people, and I knew I wanted to get some piece of that. But it was really a question of where would that go for me?
Yeah. And I think a lot of not only real estate agents, but entrepreneurs that also listen to the show, they get to that spot. Even if they've had a successful year, they end up hating their business, or they've built something massive and they hate their business. Doesn't matter what level you're at. How did you find that clarity? Because I think it could speak to a lot of people, especially right now, of okay,
Yeah.
how do you find what's next?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it had to do coming off of the height of 2022 and then headed into 2023. I had huge goals for 2023 and the market had a different story. The market was not cooperating with where I wanted to go. And I wanted to double my business. I think that coming off of such a high, but then realizing that pressure of replicating it or doing it over again, that was a part to me where it was like, okay, is that what I see as being successful? I know I'm capable of selling real estate and I'm capable of getting to that point. It was just, was that fulfilling for me? And was that really where I wanted to go? And the answer was no. I was super unhappy at that point and I didn't have any direction. So to get myself back on track, I was seeing what other people were doing that was successful. I think that social media is a blessing, but also a curse because you can see, hey, this is what success looks like for other people. Why am I not there? Why am I not doing it? And I had to really quiet all that noise out and all that distraction of this is what success looks like for them. So that's where I should be. So I had to really look at the success of these teams. I was like, okay, I should emulate that because that's who is crushing it in this business and that's who's successful. So I should create a team too. And then jumping out there and putting in these pieces of building a team because I thought that's what I needed to do. But then ultimately, it was like, that's not necessarily where my personality should be and what I should be doing at that point. So the clarity really came from eliminating the noise, eliminating the distraction, and really looking at myself personally, like having a deep soul searching moment of where do you want to take your life? Not just in business, but also personally. What does your ideal life look like? And how do you get to that point?
I think you bring up such a really good point, and I'm so glad you brought that up, is because sometimes I think we want to copy or we want to emulate all these other teams. And I get that all the time of Raquel, I want to build a team or I want to scale to so and so's like level.
Yep.
And what we end up realizing that managing a team and multiple personalities is probably not everybody's forte. They love hanging out with people, they love community, they love collaboration, but you don't necessarily have to build a team every single day because on the back end, there's all the things that people don't talk about of like, well, my people don't want to call the leads that I bought, or my people
Yep.
don't want to call my database, or my people don't want to follow up with a referral that I gave them. Right. And you got to experience all of that. And I think sometimes you do things to test. And I think it's through experience, you actually find out what you truly love.
Yeah. Because I think when we first met, I actually came to you with the goal of growing out a collaborative group. So I actually had that goal of not building the real estate business, but it was really more the rev share downline business. But in, conversation with you over time, it was like, actually, that's not what I want to do. Although the messaging is, hey, this is what should make you successful. This is where you should go. Passive income is where you need to be. And although it was successful on the outside, I think people looking in saw that it was working. But at that time, it just wasn't where I ultimately needed to be.
I think this is like the sexy part, especially right now in this business. And I'm at a company the same way, but I've actually told people that, you know what, rev share might not be your best option right now. It might be making money for yourself and doing transactions. And I'm honest about that because I know that it's the new bright and shiny object of passive. But really, when I look at like the Cats of the world that really love on their people, she built a massive tribe that was making massive money that could pay a mortgage, that could pay a rental, that was better than rental income. And to
Mm-hmm.
give that all up, because what was a question that I asked is like, all the hours that you've spent this week on building and pouring into your tribe, could you have gotten a deal? Could you have
Yeah.
served a client and could you have made more that could actually build your legacy long term faster?
Exactly. And I think it was that crossroads of I had to make that ultimate decision because, yes, the group was growing and the group was making passive income for me. But I was at a decision point of do I then focus my attention on two different things at this point? Because there was the Haven Group, which is my real estate business, but then there was also the collaborative group that now I'm spreading myself too thin. I'm ignoring my clients. And I think when we first talked, it was like, when's the last time you did a client appreciation event? And it was like 2 years ago.
And how many like collaborative events did you do that month?
Exactly. When I first started this kind of transformation journey, I was a yes person. I love collaboration. I love meeting other people. I love meeting other agents, especially. And I would say yes to everything. You want to meet for coffee? Yes. You want to host this event? Yes. It was like always yes, 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 yes. But then at the end of the day, were the yeses really getting me to my ultimate goal? Or was it just something that I had a fleeting moment of fulfillment at that time, but it wasn't really helping me reach my end?
That is so key. And I think that a lot of people, even myself, could resonate that I can say yes to a lot of things. And it actually takes sometimes somebody outside that's seeing you say yes to all these things. I actually have a call with my coach today, and he said, Raquel, you're saying yes to so many things. And I thought, hey, he goes, like, really, you flying out to go speak and you doing this, what could you have done? And the family time that you actually also lost, and he put a number to that actually scared me of you actually could have stayed home, served more of your private clients and done way better, and they would have grown too. And it's hard because you have that fulfillment to serve. And you have that you love the collaboration. So going back to narrowing the focus, what do you feel like you had to give up?
Yeah, when I truly sat down and looked at a life that I wanted to create. So eliminate the brokerage, eliminate the business at that point. It was like, okay, what do I actually want to do? Where do I actually want to spend my time? And it was an answer of I wanted more time for me, actually. I love collaboration. I think that's the biggest thing is that I am here to help everybody and anybody. But ultimately, it wasn't really serving me. And I had to be okay with being a little selfish. I
Yep.
think that being selfish gets a bad rap, but I had to really think about what was going to make me happy and where do I need to go before I can put everybody else's needs, right? It's like putting the mask on the airplane for yourself first before putting it on everybody else. So, yeah, it's great to be able to help other people and collaborate with other people, but getting the clarity for where I ultimately wanted to go and eliminating the thought that, hey, I built this group of 30 people. So now I have to tell them, sorry, Kat's going to go do something else.
Mhm.
That was very painful.
Not an easy decision for sure.
No. And that was a big sacrifice because it wasn't just affecting me at that point, it was affecting other people. But ultimately, I had to make that decision of where I wanted to land and that be okay with being a little selfish.
You're right. Sometimes I think selflessness gets a bad rap, but I think what you decided to do was actually go internal and do self-care. And like,
Yes.
really, what does self-care mean to Kat? And you've got to fill your bucket first so that you can pour into all those other people, just like the airplane. You got to put on your mask first before you can help anybody else. And I think sometimes we forget about that because we say we want to help more people, that we push our own goals and our own priorities on the back burner. So
Mhm.
I know that this didn't happen overnight. It was definitely a transition. What do you think as far as systems you had to build in your business so that you can, I mean, you're a mom, you're a wife, and you're building a business. Like, what systems did you actually have to create in your business so that you could build a life by design or a business by design?
Yeah, I think ultimately it had this past year was really about shutting out the noise for me and shutting out the distractions. I think that I'm a person that is very much the chase a shiny object kind of a person because I want to be successful and I want to build a great business. And so anytime I'm looking on social media or whatever and I see these agents crushing it, I get that, oh my God, I need to do that too. And this year was really about maturing in the sense of, okay, that's great for that person. I'm happy that they're successful, but I really need to focus on what I'm doing right now and not add on different things. I think the biggest aha moment for me during our coaching sessions was looking at where did your business actually come from, right? I think that was like the biggest light bulb moment where I went back 3 years and I looked at all the transactions that had come for the past 3 years and where did that business actually come from. I would have told you that it came from social media. So I'm very big on Instagram and I push a lot of my time and put a lot of content on there. I'm like, oh, I spend a lot of time on social media, so that's where my clients come from. But looking back, actually, no, my clients came from my referrals from past clients as well from my sphere as well as from my database. So I would say 98% of my business was past clients. And so the aha moment for me was, why am I not spending my time on past clients in the database? So why am I putting all my efforts into other things like online leads or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube and all of these different ways that we can get business? It really had to go back to the foundation. So peeling back all the layers of the business that I had built for the last 5 years and looking at it and saying, wait, I don't even have systems in place for where my business actually came from. Put those in place first. And yeah, it was painful. I felt like I was going backwards because I was like, oh, I'm rebuilding a foundation that I had put together for the past 5 years. But really looking at it of, I built a foundation that now I was like piecemealing things together. Like none of my systems that I had invested money into talk to each other. So it was like the basics of, hey, why don't you put your email system to talk to your CRM? That's basic, right?
Yeah.
But because I was so busy building the business, I hadn't set the foundation right.
Yeah. And I think that's so critical because sometimes I think you have to even strip things, even if when you're growing and scaling, sometimes what worked in the beginning is no longer going to work. But very few people I see actually take the time to build systems. And so, what
Mm-hmm.
has like having now your systems in place, what has that done for you today? Have you seen the difference? What does that look like for the agents that are listening on this podcast?
Yeah, I would say systems has been 1,000% what the focus has been on for the past couple of months because I really had to look at the client experience and the customer journey through our business. So, from start to finish, of when the client first contacts me, all the way up until the closing date, and then beyond from that. So, really, it was sitting down and taking a look at the business, but from a high level perspective of the taking the client through the entire journey of how they're going to interact with my services and looking at, okay, those are the steps that my clients are taking. How are my CRM, my email database, my gifting, all of the efforts that I'm putting forward into my business, how does that talk to the client and what is the experience like for them? And then connecting all the dots together. Because I'm one of those type of agents where I see something that is working for other people. So I'm like, I need to implement that too.
Yeah.
And so I'll go and it's $25 a month, it's $30 a month, whatever. I'm just going to sign up my clients for it because that's what everybody else is doing. But then at the end of the day, what's the return on investment for that? Yeah, it's $20, $30 a month because, we all are guilty of signing up for those subscriptions.
Mhm.
But is it really building into the business? And is there really a system in place for it?
Mhm.
So I sat down, I wrote down all the systems I'm paying for. And then now it's a matter of connecting them all together so that they all talk to each other and that it's creating a loop that is keeping my clients engaged.
I love it. And I would love to know, and I'm sure some of the agents would love to know, what are some of the systems that you invest in today? And this is not a plug for any of the companies, right?
No.
But I think just figuring all that stuff out takes time. So what would you say your most systems that you can't live without today?
Yeah, for sure. In my toolbox, the biggest systems that I utilize every day is Trello. So Trello has been extremely helpful for me to communicate to my marketing person that I hired. And that's really been the key to how we communicate to everything. So Trello has been huge. I use Sierra Interactive as my CRM. That's got an IDX website on it. I use Flowdesk for my emails. I use Zapier to connect all of these systems together. So that way, all the systems start talking to each other. Google Sheets is another huge one for me, as well as Coffee and Contracts that helps with the social media aspect of it. But before I started on this journey of building the foundation, all of those systems were isolated in silos. So the biggest differentiator for me of building the business now is that I wrote down all of the systems in place and then connected them as far as how should each system talk to each other and how does it move the business forward for my clients.
Absolutely love it. And I think some of the people that are probably listening to this, it doesn't have to be complicated. Some people are like, cello's for free. How do I use
Yeah,
that? You just got to find what works for you. The best CRM out there is the one that you're actually going to use and open up every day, right?
exactly. Exactly. And that's when I tell people, because they ask me about all the systems I have put in place. This was all layers over many years. The biggest difference for me now is that I'm connecting all those layers finally. It's a matter of when I add a new system in now, I really take a look at where does it connect in my business and how do I go back and look at whether or not it's working for my business? Because before I would just let it run and assume that I'm getting business from it. Like HomeBot's a really good example. One of my friends was like, "Oh, I send HomeBots out to my clients every month." And I'm like, "Oh, I should do that too." So I signed up for it. And then it's okay, the HomeBot goes out every month, but what am I doing to actually use that to drive the business? So now it's okay, when the HomeBot comes in, looking back and saying, let's send out an email to those people that actually clicked on their HomeBot. Let's connect with them. So utilizing the systems in a way where it will actually drive the business.
I love it. So now what has been your biggest source for referrals now that all your systems are up, or the biggest source for your business today?
Yeah, the biggest source for my business is still my database and my referrals. That is still, we came up with a slogan, referrals are the heartbeat of our business. And it's really true. It really encapsulates how the Haven Group is run and how we operate our business. So now it's very much a matter of not chasing the shiny object of going out and doing Google pay-per-click or Facebook ads or Zillow leads or all that. Right now, what we're focused on is building the systems for the referral-based system of gifting. So we have a very robust gifting program now. Every touch point along the way for my clients through the contract process, they receive a little gift from us. Um, we also are very big on milestones, life milestones. So sending out a little gift for them for when they reach those life milestones. Also, I think the biggest thing for me is systematizing it all and getting it all on a spreadsheet. So that way I can keep track of who we're sending the gifts out to. Before, I would just like randomly send gifts out and be like, I'm gifting my clients. But the biggest thing for me was, okay, these are the gifts that are going to go out at this time of the month. These are the types of gifts that I need to send out every quarter, and building that system so that way it's not random. It's something that I can actually track.
I love it. And you also mentioned to me on a call, what's the one milestone that you got out of your business because life situations happen? Do you remember that?
No, what is it?
I think you used to send wedding anniversary things.
Oh yeah, wedding anniversaries.
For
Yeah,
those that are listening, because we've been
gets
taught
kind of
that.
awkward.
Yeah, we've been taught that, right? To send, oh, happy wedding anniversary. And what
Yes.
happened?
People, they break up. So it's awkward when you send out a wedding anniversary and they're like, oh, we're no longer together.
So something to note for those that are listening, it's nice to know when they got married, but it's also nice to know if they go on Facebook and they actually got a divorce.
Exactly. But I think it's also just if you want to build that referral based business is being really tied into your community and keeping in touch with your people. I think that so many people take that business for granted. So I always was thinking, oh, my people love me. Like they're going to refer me. And when I started putting these systems in place, I realized that some of them sold without me. And it's like, oh my gosh, if I had just kept in touch with them, they probably would have used me, right? I think it's taking that business for granted was a mistake of mine. And so now it's systematizing the touch points with them to make sure that nobody's falling through the cracks.
What advice would you give to agents today, knowing what you know today? If you had to start all over, what are three things that you would have to do today?
And that's a great question. Because of the amount of self reflection I had to do the last couple of months to really fine tune the business and to make sense of the chaos, I think number one is really looking at what type of business do you actually want to have. Yes, everybody wants to sell a lot of homes or everybody has a volume goal in mind, but it's how do you want to get there? Don't do things just because everybody else is doing, right? Yes, you can build a great business with cold calling. You can build a great business with online leads. But if that doesn't fit your personality, then don't do it. Start with the things that are easy first, right? I think that you really have to, before you get the engine going, look at the journey of where you want to go first. I think for me, that was the hardest part because when I jumped on this train, we'll keep that analogy going. Like when I jumped on this, it was go, go, go since then. And then I never took a time to sit down and say, wait, what type of business do I actually want to have? Do I want to build a team? Do I want to do this? And then it resulted in me just stumbling along and not having like a clear, defined path of where I wanted to go. So I would have sat down and looked at myself and said, I don't really like to manage people. That's not my forte. So it's okay to be a solo agent. Like you can scale and leverage as a solo agent. I think a lot of people push teams, but I thrive as an individual. And I think that that's okay.
I absolutely loved the clarity piece. I also love that like you said, I think a lot of times we think teams like the next step for us, but you could be extremely successful with a very little noise as a solo agent with leverage, with systems, and leverage can mean automation.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily mean people.
Yeah.
And so I absolutely love that you bring that conversation up because I think it's not talked about enough. And I can even say you're most profitable when I look back, even in my own journey of over 2 decades, the most profitable business was when we were a solo agent and it was all leverage and we did 256 as a solo agent. Again, that was a foreclosure market, but we leveraged support staff in such a way through systems. And I think that like when you realize that, hey, majority of my business, I think the key here is majority of my business actually came from past clients and database and not social media is huge. When you actually can connect the dots of where your business came from, that's where you focus your energy first because it worked for you in the past. So now that you know that, how do you leverage? Because you have one of the most amazing social media, and I think you can actually still build a business even with a small following. How do you leverage social media today now that you know that information and that insight?
Yeah, I think it's really been a matter of focusing the message on my social media. It all comes from clarity of who am I actually trying to talk to? How am I actually going to use it to push my business? I have 2,000 so followers, so it's not huge compared to the online social media presences that you see from a lot of agents. But at the same time, it's a community that's very engaged. And some of my past clients I talk to almost every day, just commenting on their stories and having a conversation that way. So I think it's a matter of focus and really not trying to chase every single revenue producing activity. I think for me, I definitely went down the path or the rabbit hole of digital marketing because I love connecting with people. And I'm like, okay, if I can connect with people and then also make passive income, why not? You right? But then now after coaching, I realized, okay, the systems I need to put in place to put that together, the amount of time that's going to require, as well as amount of money that's going to cost to set it up, because there's a lot of back end stuff that I think a lot of people don't realize when you're putting together a new income or revenue producing activity. Now I realize I can't just go forward for it. So like past Kat would be like, yeah, let's do these guides. Let's make a stand store. This is going to be great. I'm going to get all this income. But it's the foresight of, okay, all these pieces have to come together for that to happen. Do I want to do that? And I think that was the biggest question that was missing from my business before is, do I actually want to do this? Before I would be like, oh, I can make money, so let me do it. But now it's, do I actually want to do it?
It's so true. And people forget how much you actually have to market these courses. And you actually have to take some of your prospecting time from clients that
Yes,
actually make you more money to put some focus on marketing it and like marketing it to agents if it was agents, because that's a whole nother database. Like people forget
exactly.
that.
Exactly. It's a whole other business.
Yeah.
So all of the pieces I put together for my real estate business, I then would have to do it for this other business. And it's like, is that where I need to spend my time? Do I want to do that? Because every effort that we put forward, it's going to take 3 months to a year to see that be successful. All of these people that you think are overnight successes is really a journey of many years. A lot of people ask me about my social media or my business, and it's no, all of it didn't happen in 1 year. Like all of those things compounded over 6 years to get me to a place to where I am today. And I think that's the part now where I've matured in my business to realize that it's something that I need to dedicate months to years to be successful.
I absolutely love it. So what's next for Kat?
I'm super, super excited about this year is really, I'm at a place now in my business where I feel settled. I feel like I've set a foundation, a very good foundation. And it's a reminder to myself every day of building that on that foundation. So not being sidetracked by other endeavors or other projects at this point. It's really, where am I focused on? What am I trying to achieve? And having tunnel vision towards that goal.
Yeah, and I know that people are listening to this and got probably a ton of value, and they probably resonated with your episode because I talk to agents all the time about where they're at currently in their business and what's next for them. Where can people connect with you?
Sure. You can find me on Instagram, Kat Massetti, also on Facebook. But yeah, I would love to connect with everybody. I am an open book. I really do enjoy talking to people, especially other agents. So always happy to help.
Yay. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every single guest on the show is what does Kat do to play bigger in business or in life?
Finding the joy. 2024, my word of the year for 24 is finding joy. Because if you're not happy in what you're doing, or if you don't find joy in what you're doing, then there's really no point. So for me this year, it's joy.
I absolutely love it. I want to thank you so much for pouring into our community. I appreciate you. I've loved seeing you grow, and I cannot wait to keep playing bigger with you, my friend.
Thank you.